I'm going to talk about something that's been overlooked, ignored, and it's really kind of forgotten. And it's one of the most important foods on the planet. I call it the forgotten superfood. In fact, our ancestors, like 8,000 years ago, they would have never survived without this food. And this food is fiber. Now, when we think of food, we usually think about carbs, fat, and protein. But fiber is actually one of the most important things to consume for us to be at our healthiest. So when we think about plants, there are two different types of plant foods. There's the edible part of the plant that we can eat, like the leaves and the fruits and the seeds. But then there's also another part of the plant that we don't typically eat. That's the structural part of the plant, which is the stems and the stalks and the vines. And that part of the plant is made up mostly of fiber. So fiber is kind of like the skeleton of the plant. And so our ancestors, 8,000 years ago, would have consumed a lot of these plants, both the edible parts as well as the non-edible parts. And that provided them with a ton of fiber. In fact, a diet that's lacking in fiber is actually a relatively modern phenomenon. So up until about 50 years ago, our diets were rich in fiber. But now the average person only consumes about 15 grams of fiber per day. And we should really be consuming about 30 to 35 grams of fiber per day. So when we don't consume enough fiber, we end up with all sorts of digestive issues, including constipation, bloating, and even things like irritable bowel syndrome. And fiber is actually one of the most important things for the health of our gut. In fact, there's a lot of research showing that increasing fiber can actually help people with diabetes. It can help people with high blood pressure, as well as people with high cholesterol. Fiber is also really important for weight loss. There's a lot of research showing that eating a high-fiber diet can help you feel fuller for longer periods. Now, fiber is not just important for our physical health, but it's also really important for our emotional health. You see, when we consume a lot of fiber, it feeds our friendly bacteria that are in our gut. In those bacteria, there's a connection from your small intestine to your brain. So when you feed your gut bacteria, they produce chemicals that have an impact on your mood, your emotions, and can reduce stress and anxiety. So the next time you sit down to eat, take a look at the ingredients and try to determine how much fiber you're going to get from that meal. And make sure that you're getting enough fiber in your diet. About 30 to 35 grams per day is a good amount. Thank you for watching.